and welcome back to Lauren's Take. Okay, so I am so sorry, y'all. Life decided to just throw me some stuff, It just started to decide to take my voice away, for over a week. It's kind of back now. It's like here, but not really. It like comes and goes, but we're going to try to make it work while it's still here right now. But I'm not going to be talking as loud as usual. I noticed that whenever I try to speak like at my normal, sorry, I have oil on my face. Whenever I try to speak at normal volume, that's when I start coughing. So I'm not going to do that, but we're going to get through this. Y'all, we got episode 5 of the Percy Jackson show last week. We got episode 6 last night. So this is going to be a joint review because I was going to do a separate video, but again, since I hadn't been feeling the best, I decided to just combine them both because they're correlated, they're connected. And it was a ton of stuff, a ton of vibes, a ton of things. So let's just get into it, but make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and let's get into it. Okay, so first we're going to talk episode 5 because yes, if y'all have been paying attention, child. Quick premise of episode 5. It is called A God Buys Us Hamburgers. Of course, this is when our trio meets Aries for the first time. This is when Aries also gives the trio the quest to, or mini quest within the quest, to retrieve his shield from the lovely amusement park called Waterland, USA. And the little quick switch up that is not in the novel but that was in the show, which is totally fine, is he holds Grover back for collateral so Percy and Annabeth can go do it. This is also when we get our iconic tunnel of love scene that is in the novel that we all were, so excited to kind of see brought to life, and also just thinking about how Percy and Annabeth like the cast and Rick have been really pushing that this episode was going to be the episode, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the premise of this episode. This is also when Percabeth finally really becomes like the friends situation. And yeah, but let's just get into my thought. Okay. So, mind me, y'all, I'm just drinking some sparkling water. This is not sponsored. But the biggest thing that I just want to kind of talk about in this episode, I'm going to be quick because I think we've had 2 weeks to kind of, not 2 weeks, a week to kind of deal with it for a bit. It feels like 2 weeks because I haven't made a video for 2 weeks. But this episode, y'all, was so freaking good and so just perfection that I had no thoughts. I had no comments. This was the episode. We officially got the first mention of seaweed brain. And it was put in at the perfect time. I think what was so great is, of course, we've all been talking about when are they going to say it? When are they going to talk about seaweed brain? When are they going to mention Wise Girl? When are they going to say those little things? But to be honest, when Annabeth said it, it was the perfect moment because it wasn't just like she's just calling him seaweed brain. It was like build up. And she was like, this isn't the art, seaweed brain. You're not going to push me in the stall. He was like, yes, I am. They just... the Percabeth of it all in this episode. Just child. No words. Just no words. Just pure happiness. Just pure like, oh, they are doing us justice. They are just giving us everything that we want and more. Leah and Walker, again, the funny thing is every single episode, every single video that I've done so far, I continuously talk about how amazing Walker and Leah are at playing Percy and Annabeth because they are those characters, hands down. And it's the little things that these two do that are just so great. And it's also the writers too. I know Rick wrote some episodes, but there are other episodes that he wasn't as involved in. And I don't know for sure if he helped with this episode at all, but whoever wrote it, y'all did some good stuff because we got to talk about the beginning of the episode where, at first Annabeth and Grover, they see the fates. Oh my gosh, we finally get to see the fates. And Annabeth's like, crap, someone's going to die. But then she sees Percy, and she was already really scared. And so, her hugging him in that moment could be one, she's like, oh my gosh, he's alive, he's okay. But then he was fine. But then it's also just like, oh, she hugged him. Oh my gosh, look at them hugging. Oh my gosh. And, and then Percy, and she's just like kind of quiet about it. And he was like, it doesn't have to be weird. The hug thing, it's what friends do. I guess that's what, they do. I was just like, why are you just so adorable? Oh, poor thing. He's like, we're hugging. It's totally fine. That's totally what friends do. And I think there's layers to that. And I love the layers to that, because the layers are, like, one, it's, like, a friendly thing, but then it's also not a friendly thing. When you think about, like, how young people be thinking, you'd be like, oh my gosh, what does this hug mean? Like, what? But then also just the fact of him not really having a lot of friends, unfortunately. So him saying, he was like, we're friends, this is totally okay. Or we're not doing that. He was like, where Annabeth may be closed off, or he may be closed off, or whatever. He was like, remember, we're not doing that anymore. And I love that. I just love it. I thought it was perfect. I thought it made sense. I thought, oh my gosh, I just loved the dynamics between Percy and Annabeth in this episode. And I just loved how they are really just like, they're here together. They are here. And it's great. I love seeing them kind of work together, and how Percy, he trusts Annabeth with all he got. He trusts her with all he got. What's very interesting is people keep talking about how that moment in episode 4 where Annabeth is about to fight the Chimera instead of Percy. Well, she attempts to go, but Percy, of course, swings in, is like, yay! Gosh, that was a throwback. But anyway, where she does that, and it was like, in this moment is when Percy is like, she would never betray him. And I was like, child, stop. Because then when you think about episode 5 in this whole context, you're like, that makes so much sense. Because he trusts her. He knows that she's going to be the one to get things done. He's like, I know I picked you for a reason. And I love the conversation between them after they, took the ride through the tunnel of love, or thrill ride of love, tunnel of love, whatever. And yeah, I just thought that was so well done. I also think that their last like words to each other, oh my gosh, like the last few sentences, where he was like, Annabeth, one thing, can I just ask one thing? And she's just like, I will definitely get your mom out. And he was like, oh, thanks. He was like, but actually, I was going to say, when you finish, can you like come like swing back and try to get me out of this thing? And she was like, you thought you had to ask? I was like, child, I was died. Whew. That messed your girl up, because I was already like crying, and then he was like, thanks. And it's just the glances of it all, the just love of just friendship. It's great friendship. I love what we're doing here in terms of just like the little things of just friendship and trust and loyalty, and just having each other's back. I think that's the thing about Percabeth, that like why they are so amazing is because their friendship, because they were originally friends, because they had to kind of trust each other, had to rely on each other, all of those things, their relationship is like this high because they went through that together. They went through some of the hardest stuff together. And I really just loved how that was demonstrated in episode 5. I think it was just perfect. Then, oh my gosh, Walker did so well here. When he's sitting in the gold is like encasing him, and poor girl Annabeth or Leabeth is really she's really emotional, crying, but she knows it has to happen. And he was like, it's okay. I'm okay. And I was just like, Amber and I were squealing. By this point I didn't have a voice, so I was like squealing as much as I could, and pounding a pillow, just like, oh my gosh, I can't. It was just, child, it just, And then the conversation between Annabeth and Hermes. Not Hermes, Hephaestus. I'm thinking of episode 6 too early. 1 second. But Hephaestus, that conversation was so good. And how Annabeth is like already observing Percy to the point of knowing. She was like, I love what he's about. Like he shows you like, power and glory and nothing else matters. And she was like, I don't want to be like that. I used to be like that, but I don't want to be like that. And he's shown me differently. And I like how he's thinking. And then Hephaestus is like, dang. Why can't all of the demigods be like this? Why can't the gods be like this, And he was like, you know what? I was moved by that. I'm going to help you out. And I love this addition. I thought it made it, the stakes so much higher. And it worked. I think it just flowed so well and meshed so well. I really enjoyed it. I really thought it was great. I vibed with it completely. And then, yeah. But then the whole conversation between Aries and Grover, we got to talk about this real quick because I thought this was so great. Arian as Grover he's just doing something for Grover, Like we all love Grover as it is, but like he's just making him 100 times better. Like I love how the actors are giving the characters like just the extra level. Like they're already like the best characters ever, but then they're giving them the next thing, just a little bit more. Just give it a little oomph. And it's the manipulation for me to get what they really need. I just thought that was brilliant. I thought it was great. And I just love that little smirk he gives, and he was like, it's so funny. They're like, oh yeah, when I've seen so many tweets where it's saying where Percy was like, we kind of need to be detectives about this, and they were like, Grover took that personally or took that seriously. I am just weak, but I think that was really, really good. And I think that whole conversation, Aries, or Adam Copeland as Aries, he slayed. I think he did a phenomenal job as Aries. I think Aries is so petty that, of course, that whole conversation, part of the conversation where he's talking about Athena and he's like, what? And then, of course, Grover kind of using it to kind of get the information he's trying to get. I thought that was just really well done. And then the Twitter war thing, that was so funny. But yeah, episode 5 was just so good. The Percabeth was out of this world. You can't get much better than that. I think, out of the episodes, it is now my favorite episode, but I don't know, because episode 6 was really good. So let's get into episode 6. Hi y'all. Okay, so episode 6 marks the saga of the Lotus Casino. This is when we get to have, this moment in the story where they kind of make it so they can get instructions on how to get to the underworld to, kind of defeat Hades in the context of the show. This is also when we get introduced to Hermes for the first time, played by the amazing Lin-Manuel Miranda. And it was so fun. I really enjoyed this. The thing is about episode 6 of Percy Jackson is, not only did we get another Seaweed Brain mention, child, we got Wise Girl too. We got Wise Girl. We got them both. And it was so well done. Like it was in episode 5 where Seaweed Brain was perfectly, just put in there. This isn't the arch Seaweed Brain, and she was just, they are just doing so well. It just rolls off the tongue. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure Leah just calls Walker Seaweed Brain half the time because his birthday was like last week, I think. And she was like, happy birthday, Seaweed Brain. I think she just calls him Seaweed Brain because he's Percy. But anyway, love that. But back to the point, how Percy, or Walker as Percy said, Wise Girl, he was just like, what do you think we should do, Wise Girl? Or something like, I don't think that's the exact line, but it's like that. And he was like, Wise Girl? And I was like, oh, no, y'all. And, kind of a little bit before that, what I really loved was how we got our first Iris message. Oh my gosh. I was so excited about the Iris message because I was wondering, I was like, we gotta have that conversation with Luke. That's one of the biggest things that we have in the novel. And of course, because they've been giving us a lot of more backstory about Annabeth and her story, kind of throughout the episodes, that was in the novel, that's the conversation they have with Luke, where Luke kind of tells Percy the tea about that. But in this situation, it was just, Percy talking to Luke. And I thought it was just so well done and so great. And when Luke says to him, or says to them, he's like, what? What is this? And they're like, what? And he's like, y'all acting like an old married couple. When did that start happening? I was like, chow. I was done. And it's Percy and Annabeth looking at each other for me. And Percy saying, not to change the subject, but I'm gonna do that now. It's the not even trying to acknowledge that that's what's happening. And I love how they didn't automatically like just completely like, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? I was just talking to one of my friends about this, and I was saying the one thing that I love about the Percabeth is like, it's so much. My sadness, though, is it's going to make the wait that much more painful because we're getting so much Percabeth now that, once we get to like Titan's Curse and Battle of Labyrinth, where that is like one of the biggest moments in Percabeth situations. Of course, that will be their first kiss. I'm like, okay, so that's making me realize that even though we're getting this much tea, we're getting more tea than we got in the novel at this point. I was saying to my sister, I was like, we're at like Sea of Monsters, like end of Sea of Monsters, or mid to end of Sea of Monsters level of Percabeth at this point. And so in terms of them just like, kind of just knowing, they're just like, yeah, we got you, know you, hands down, I'm here for it. It's just going to make that wait that much more painful. But I guess that pushes people to keep watching because you want to see it happen. You want to see it go. But anyway, I'm not mad at it. I'm just acknowledging that it's going to be hard being patient. Yeah, that soul burn going to be slow. Real slow. But at least they're giving us something. Anyway, I don't mind it. But anyway, so I thought that was just really funny. And I think that whole conversation of how Grover, at the end of episode 5, I forgot to say this, Grover's like, I know who stole the lightning bolt, and now they think Clarice stole it. And I like this addition. I think it adds more stake. I think it pushes us to be like, oh my gosh, what? And then it really makes, and then Luke out here, he's like, oh, Clarice, that would make total sense, and it's just so infuriating. Oh, man. And, I think that's going to be so fun because it's the fact that they don't suspect Luke at all at this point. And I think that's why it's going to be so good. I think it's going to be just amazing to be able to see what happens in the end. I think with them adding this idea that Clarice did it, I think that's going to push people to really, for the fans to be that much more upset when they find out that it's Luke, for those who haven't read the novels, and also for our main characters, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, because they all thought it would be Clarice and not Luke, and because they all love Luke in different ways. Annabeth, of course, loves him like her older brother. Grover is very protective of Luke regardless, because he was still one of his first satyr protector. And Percy also kind of looks at him as like a mentor, big brother, best friend kind of vibe, kind of guy. So, it's going to push it that much more. I love it. I love what they did there. And then, yeah, so I think that was great. We had some more Percabeth, of course, in there, aside from Seaweed Brain and Wise Girl mentioned. It's just how they got each other's back. And I love seeing that already. And then Grover, oh my gosh. The fact, they just had this cute little moment at the end where they were saying, how come Percy and Annabeth didn't, lose their memory or forget why they were there and whatnot. It's like, because we had someone with us. And I thought that was just, but then that again solidifies the meaning of Percabeth. I think I also saw a tweet about this, of how they become that for one another. And so again, I love what the show is doing in terms of just giving us this. And then the conversation with Hermes. Lynn slayed as Hermes. He has the tracksuit. It's the attention to detail for me. Because in Sea of Monsters, when we first really meet Hermes, he is wearing a tracksuit. So I think that was like that little subtle thing that they added in there, and I thought it was perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, he's wearing the tracksuit. And it was just so fun. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's just so amazing. But I think he did a phenomenal job kind of demonstrating the complex relationship between Hermes and Luke, and how that, talking about Luke's mom, these are things that we don't really get to know until later. And I love how we're planting the seeds now, because it's kind of giving you a little sneak peek into why Luke would even consider doing what he ends up doing, or, the stakes of it all. I like how the show is raising the stakes. I think, the stakes were high in the novel, but I think with them raising them to the next level, it's pushing us to really look at the bigger picture in terms of the conflict of the story. And I think that's really great. I think what they're doing there is really, really well done. And kind of connected to that, thinking about how, Percy and Annabeth and Grover, they get in the taxi, finally leave the Lotus Hotel, and, go. Oh my gosh, that cute little moment where he's driving, he finally gets it after struggling. And Annabeth smiles over at him, like, she's like, you did it, you got this. And then he was like, I got it, yay. But then it was like, she got hit. I was like, but then they were fine. They were just on the Santa Monica Pier. So I was like, thank God. And then he goes to talk to Nereid, and her saying that Percy was too late to, one, talk to Poseidon, and then two, that the summer solstice has already passed. Child, I was so upset at first, because I was like, no, don't do that. That's going to make it so much more sad. Like, they couldn't even get there in time. But I think, again, it demonstrates that there's something bigger here. It's not even just the lightning bolt at this point. It's bigger than the lightning bolt, because there is a potential of a war happening between the gods. And then, again, kind of ruining potential human civilization at the whole time. So I think doing that adds that extra, like, what do we do now? But they're going to keep going. They're going to keep going. And I really love that whole situation. And I love how Percy, even though Nereid was like, there's no point, don't even try anymore, he's just like, no, we're not giving up. We're not going to stop. And that's just Percy right there, I think it's just so well done and so exciting. And so episode 6, phenomenal. I just loved it. Hi peeps. Okay, so I was editing this video and I forgot like 2 things that were like really important that were in there. So at the end of episode 6, when Percy is talking to Nereid, this is when he gets the pearls. No, it's 2 things. The pearls, right? And so, this is a big thing in the movie, how the movie is like, that's the whole plot essentially. But in the book, it's like 1 sentence and then there they go. It's so funny. Every time I read that, I'd laugh. But anyway, the question, though, that we have, they gave Percy 4 pearls instead of 3. But then there were things being said in the next episode that make us kind of question why, because in the end, they weren't able to get Sally out. So I'm wondering who that 4th pearl is for, or what the addition of the 4th pearl is. Some people are kind of like, why is it 4 pearls? I think some people are a little ticked about it. I'm not. I'm just curious to see what it's going to do, because they've been changing certain things and I've liked a lot of the changes, so I'm not stressing about it. I'm just intrigued to see what that could connect to the overall plot. And then the second thing is, now this is something that my friend and we were talking about earlier and we were obsessing over. There is a clip, not a clip, there is a point in episode 6 too, where it's like around 12 minutes and 30 something seconds, and when Grover is talking to Augustus, and you hear a voice calling a name, and I heard it. We think that we got our first little mention and connection to the D'Angelo siblings. What I heard was Nico, potentially, saying, Bianca, Bianca. Y'all, if that was true, the detail, the layers, the everything. If that actually happened, because I know I heard Bianca. I know I heard Bianca, and it sounded like a little boy saying it, because at that time Nico would have been like really, really little and really young. And that's like that subtle hint, because we know that they spent, I don't know how many years, like 70 years or so in the Lotus Hotel. I don't know, y'all. It's a lot. But go check it out if you didn't notice it before. It is definitely in there. I just wanted to say those two things. Okay, back to the video. All right, so for episodes 5 and 6, 10 stars. Come on, come on, come on. Or 10 out of 10. I absolutely love both episodes. They both are, again, my favorite episodes of the show. The thing about the show is I'm so happy with it. Like, every single Tuesday night at 9 p.m., my sister and I are turning to Disney Plus, ready to go. So excited for it. And we're never disappointed. I think the saddest thing about last night's episode was that it was too darn short. It's only 32 minutes, and it's not even really 32 minutes. It's probably more like 29. So it's like an old Disney Channel episode. But aside from that, I think what's so great about it is it keeps you going. I love the, subtle changes from the novel. The changes make sense. They're not dumb. They make sense. They add more to the story. I think, they really hone in on the things that are extremely important in the novel. They pay attention to little details. It's just so good so far. And the fact that we're in the home stretch, we only have 2 more episodes left. Like, it's bittersweet, because yes, we're getting the next 2 episodes, but it's also like, crap, we're getting the last 2 episodes, and then we're going to have to wait for I don't know how long for the second season. And we're still waiting on that renewal Disney Plus. But anyway, I'm really, really excited about next week's episode. Of course, this is when they go to the underworld officially. And I think this is like right before the Ares fight. I don't know if the Ares fight is going to be in the 7th episode. It may start in the 7th episode, but I can't wait. It's going to be great. But again, I just love our cast. They're doing a phenomenal job. Walker, Leah, and Arian, y'all are the GOATs, okay? Y'all are the greatest of all time. I am so excited to keep seeing what y'all got for us, I'm so excited. I'm so in love with the show. I'm very depressed right now because in Disney World and Disneyland, there are currently exhibits for the costumes and set pieces and props of the show in Hollywood Studios, specifically for Disney World. And as y'all know, I love Disney World, and the fact that I can't go right now for multiple reasons, but it's pain. But for the people who are able to go to Disney, go take pictures, enjoy, please. Yeah. But anyway, let's conclude this video. Alright, everyone, please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't give it a thumbs down, that's just rude. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye!